A cocky sergeant laughs in front of the whole unit. At the quiet lady he thinks is just some lost admin officer. What he doesn't know, she outranks his entire chain of command, and she's here to decide who keeps their career and who doesn't. The buses rolled out and the dust took a while to settle. Morning formation broke up into smaller tasks. Orders flew. Boots stomped. Radios crackled. Fort Halston looked like every other day. Loud, precise, familiar. That's when she walked in. A woman in a plain field jacket. No name tape visible. No visible rank. Cap pulled low. She moved slowly like someone who had time. Like someone who didn't need to prove anything. Most people barely noticed her at first. Just another stranger passing through the chaos. Sergeant Cole Maddox did. He stood near the motor pool, coffee in one hand, clipboard in the other. He saw her pause at the edge of the yard. Watching the platoon. Watching him. He didn't like the way she stood. Too calm, too detached. To him that screamed outsider. He smirked. "Hey, ma'am," he called, loud enough for the nearest squad to hear. "You lost? Finance office is that way. We handle the loud stuff here." A few soldiers laughed. Not because the joke was funny. Because it was easier to laugh with the sergeant than question him. The woman turned her head. Her eyes were dark, steady, and tired in a way that wasn't weak. She looked at him for exactly 1 second. Then she looked past him at his formation. She said nothing. Cole didn't like being ignored. He stepped closer, still grinning. "You got a badge or a clipboard? Otherwise, I'm gonna need you off my training lane." Her gaze dropped to the whistle hanging from his neck, the unbuttoned pocket, the lazy stance. She took in the half-secured helmets, the uneven line of his squad, then she spoke. Her voice was quiet, smooth, no tremor. "Sergeant, those two on the left are out of alignment, and your second team leader isn't watching his sector." Cole's jaw tightened for a second. She was right. And she'd noticed in 3 seconds what he hadn't corrected in 3 minutes. He covered the irritation with another smirk. "Congratulations, ma'am. You've unlocked the backseat NCO achievement." More laughter. Louder this time, she just nodded once. Not at him. At the soldiers behind him. "Fix it," she said softly. "Someone's watching." Then she walked away. Cole watched her head toward battalion headquarters. He didn't like that line, "Someone's watching." It crawled under his skin. At the HQ doorway, Captain Ruiz stepped out to meet the woman. He didn't just nod. He snapped to attention. Cole squinted. Ruiz held the door for her. She stepped inside without breaking stride. For a second, as the door swung shut, something flashed on her chest. Not a visitor badge, not a contractor lanyard, a metal bar, silver, under the jacket. Not fully covered. Cole couldn't see it clearly from this distance. But the way Ruiz moved told him enough. Whoever she wasn't just some admin. Inside HQ, behind a closed door, the woman set a leather folder on the table. The cover bore a simple embossed line. "Call Elizabeth Carter. Strategic Readiness Inspection." Authority outside, still in the yard, Sergeant Cole Maddox laughed with his squad. He had no idea the nobody he'd just mocked held authority to freeze promotions, shut down units, and write his name on the line that could end his career. And in less than 24 hours, she'd have his entire platoon under a microscope. If you're into military rank twist stories and brutal leadership lessons, keep watching this video. Hit like and comment. Respect is earned. By mid-morning, the rumor machine had warmed up. Some said she was from division. Some said she was IG. One private swore she'd seen Colonel Leaves under that field jacket. Cole brushed it all off. "Relax," he told his squad. If she was important, she'd have made a speech by now. Paper pushers love speeches. He said it loud enough for the nearby soldiers to hear. He wanted the laughs. He needed them. Holding the room kept the doubt away. But the energy on the yard had shifted. Soldiers moved straighter. Helmets sat a little lower on brows. People glanced toward HQ more often than usual. The door finally opened. She stepped out alone. No entourage. No drum roll. Just that same unhurried walk. She carried a small notebook now. Dark cover. No markings. Cole rolled his shoulders. "Round 2, he muttered. She walked straight into his lane. "Sergeant Maddox," she said, like she'd known his name for years. Her tone wasn't warm. It wasn't cold. It was measured. "Ma'am," he replied. He didn't salute. No rank was visible. "No insignia, no salute." He told himself that made it fine. Her gaze moved over his soldiers. Their gear, their posture, the corners they thought they'd hidden. How often do you rehearse casualty evacuation? She asked. Cole frowned. Weekly, ma'am. We drill hard. My squad's solid. One private shifted slightly. He knew that wasn't quite true. Last week's drill had been rushed. They'd skipped one station to make a smoke break. She noticed the movement. Private? She said, eyes never leaving Cole. Is that your assessment too? He froze, his throat tightened around the word. Yes, ma'am, he managed. She let the silence hang. Long enough for everyone to feel it. Then she nodded once. Then today will be easy. Cole's skin prickled. He hated how she did that. Short sentences, no wasted words. But each one landed. Battalions on a 2-hour notice, she said. You'll be running a readiness lane under observation. No extra prep. No warning injects. Just what you already claimed to be ready for. Cole forced a smile. We live for this stuff, ma'am. Her eyes held his for a moment. You lived through it, Sergeant, she said quietly. That's different. She walked away to speak with the company commander. Cole turned back to his squad. All right, listen up, he barked, voice sharper than usual. Gear check now. If there is one loose strap, I will make your soul regret it. They scrambled, he adjusted helmets, checked tourniquets, forced his hands to look calm. Someone whispered behind him. Is she really a colonel? Another answered. I heard she reports above brigade, like, higher. Cole tried to block it out, but the seed was there now. Up near the CP tent, Elizabeth Carter spoke quietly with 2 officers. They didn't argue. They didn't suggest. They just listened and wrote things down. Every time she pointed at the map, another plan changed. Cole saw none of the details. He only saw body language, and it told him one thing he didn't want to admit. Whoever she wasn't just visiting. She was in charge of something that could reach into his file. The PA system crackled. Alpha platoon, readiness lane in 20, full kit, no rehearsal. Cole exhaled slowly. This is fine, he told himself. We've done worse. But as he led his squad to the start line, he caught Elizabeth watching them. No smile, no frown. Just that unreadable, steady gaze. He told himself she'd forget his jokes by lunch. He didn't know she'd written his name down already. And the box next to it didn't say funny. It said pattern. As the timer counted down to start, Elizabeth Carter closed her notebook. And under the cuff of her jacket, for just a second, the silver eagle of a full colonel caught the light. If this military inspection twist has you tense already, don't click away. Drop a comment, Team Elizabeth, if you want more high-rank versus sergeant power shifts like this, and share to someone who loves realistic Army discipline stories. The lane wasn't complicated on paper. Patrol, contact, casualty, extraction, a dozen things. Sergeant Maddox had done in training more times than he could count. Today, everything felt heavier. The start whistle blew. The squad moved out. Boots thudded on dry ground. Cole called hand signals, scanning the tree line, checking sectors. He kept his voice steady. He knew Elizabeth Carter was somewhere behind them, walking with the observer team. First inject hit fast. Gunfire from speakers, puffs of simulated rounds. Contact front! Cole shouted, dropping to a knee. The squad responded. Mostly, one private lagged on the flank. Another fumbled his magazine. Tiny mistakes. Usually he'd joke about it later. Not today, they pushed through. Returned fire. Advanced by bounds, then the casualty call hit. Man down. The role player collapsed. Red training band slapped on his arm. Cole's heart rate spiked. Cover left. Dock up, he ordered. Movement turned messy. Not catastrophic. Just sloppy. Tourniquet too high. Litter positioned at a bad angle. One soldier staring at the fake blood packet like it might explode. Cole saw all of it and tried to fix everything at once. Johnson, tighten that. Miller, get your head in the game. No, not like that. A calm voice cut through the chaos. Not loud, just precise. Sergeant, you're doing 3 jobs. Pick one. He looked up. Elizabeth stood a few meters away, arms relaxed. Notebook closed. Her eyes were on the casualty, not on him. If you're the medic, you don't have a squad, she said. If you're the squad leader, you don't have a free hand. Her words landed like weight. He swallowed. She was right. Again. Martinez, you own treatment, he snapped, forcing himself to step back. I'm on security and control. Move. The machine started to run smoother. Still not clean, but better. They evac'd the wounded, pushed to the extraction point. Time bled off the clock faster than he liked. At the final checkpoint, he gave the all clear. Chest heaving. Shirt soaked. Lane complete, the observer announced. Cole forced a grin. Not bad for no warning, right? No one laughed. Elizabeth approached slowly, boots silent on the dirt. The squad straightened without being told. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't lecture. She just asked questions. Who was responsible for security during treatment? What was your backup comms plan when the radio glitched? Which of you actually checked that tourniquet before moving the casualty? Every answer exposed a small crack. Not big enough to kill a training lane, big enough to matter in a real one. Cole felt each flaw like a bruise. She finished with one simple question. Sergeant Maddox, what do you think your soldiers learned today? He hesitated. The old version of himself wanted to shrug it off. Say something like, that we don't need rehearsal to crush it, ma'am. But his mouth didn't cooperate. They learned we're not as ready as we say we are, he admitted, voice lower now. And that's on me. Something shifted in her eyes. Not softness. Not approval. More like a quiet note taken in his favor. She nodded once. Honest answers are a good start. He relaxed 0.5 millimeter. Then she added, report to the battalion conference room at 1800. Full uniform. Bring your training records. His stomach sank. Yes, ma'am. She walked away. Observer team trailing behind her like gravity. The squad dispersed, whispering, dude, you're dead. She destroyed us without yelling. Did you see the way the OCs listened to her? She's someone big, man. Cole pretended not to hear. At 17:59, he stood outside the conference room door, collar straight, boots polished in a hurry. On the other side of the door, he heard voices. A colonel, a lieutenant colonel, the command sergeant major and hers. All right, Elizabeth Carter said. Let's talk about what your sergeant really leads. When he thinks no one important is watching. The door handle turned. Want to see what happens when a no-nonsense colonel reads a sergeant's record to his face? Tap subscribe and comment Lane 2.0 if you're loving this realistic Army leadership drama and want more long-form military stories with rank reveals. The conference room smelled like coffee, dry markers and nerves. Maps covered one wall. A projector hummed softly. 3 senior leaders sat at the table. Cole stood alone in front of them. Elizabeth Carter sat at the end of the table. Not at the side, the end. The spot nobody takes unless they own the room. Her rank was visible now. Silver Eagle. Full colonel. No jacket to hide it. Cole stared at it for 0.5 second too long. Sergeant Maddox, the battalion commander, began. You know why you're here? Yes, sir, he answered automatically. He didn't, not really, but he knew better than to say that. Elizabeth opened the leather folder. His name sat on the first page. DA 2166 says, counseling forms, training rosters, notes. You've been in for 8 years, she said. 2 deployments. 2 commendations. No Article 15s on paper, that's solid. He swallowed. Thank you, ma'am. I'm not finished, she said calmly. She slid a page forward. You also have 3 anonymous climate surveys describing you as unapproachable, sarcastic under pressure, and more focused on being funny than being right. Heat crawled up his neck. The commander cleared his throat. Sergeant, we've talked about this. I've improved, sir, Cole said. Today, Elizabeth cut in to confirm the pattern. Not just the problem. He met her eyes. They were steady. Not cruel, not kind. Just exact. You are not incompetent, she said. You are not lazy. But you are careless with one thing you can't afford to be careless with. He forced himself to ask. What's that, ma'am? Influence, she said simply. You treat it like a joke. She flipped to notes from the lane. Your soldiers listen to you even when you're wrong. That's power. You're casual with it. They pay for that, not you. Yet. Silence pressed on his ears. He wanted to argue. Say the lane wasn't that bad. Say other squads messed up more. But he heard his own voice in his head. All the times he'd said, if no one died, it's fine, as a joke. It didn't feel funny anymore. So here's your situation, Elizabeth said. I'm here for a strategic readiness inspection. I write the report that goes above brigade. She let that sit for a second. In that report, I can mark you as strong NCO with correctable blind spots or as liability in leadership positions. That recommendation will follow your file for years. His throat felt dry. Ma'am, with respect, I can fix this. I want to. I believe you, she said. That surprised him more than anything else she'd said all day. But belief isn't enough, she added. I need evidence. The battalion commander leaned forward. Colonel Carter has proposed something, Sergeant. She turned a page. In 36 hours, there's a night operation for the full company, she said. Live movement, no blanks. No scripts, he frowned. We haven't rehearsed, that's the point, she said. I want to see how you lead when the dark and the clock strip away all your comfort. She tapped the file with one finger. Between now and then, you will retrain your squad. Not with threats. Not with jokes. With standards. He nodded slowly. If I see the same patterns, she continued, I recommend removing you from your team leader pipeline, possibly from your current billet. You'll still wear stripes, but no one will trust you with lives. Air left his lungs in a silent rush. And if you see something different? He asked quietly. Then I write that too, she said. In detail. He looked at the map on the wall. The night lane, the terrain, the choke points. Every mistake today would be amplified in the dark. Any questions, Sergeant? She asked. He thought about saying it was unfair. Thought about blaming short staffing, rushed training, bad weather, all the usual excuses. He surprised himself. No, ma'am, he said. I just need time with my people. You have exactly that, she replied. Don't waste it. He left the room feeling like he'd stepped onto a knife edge. Outside, the sky had already turned orange. Shadows stretched long across the yard. His squad was waiting near the barracks, restless and curious. What happened, Sarge? One asked. You getting fired? Another tried to joke, but his voice shook. Cole looked at them. They weren't pawns. They weren't background noise. They were the proof or the failure he was about to build. We've got work to do, he said. Tonight. All night if we have to. They stared. Night op in 36 hours, he added. And this time someone important really is watching. Far behind them, from the CP trailer window, Elizabeth Carter watched the squad assemble under the fading light. Then her secure phone buzzed. An incoming message. Higher headquarters. Subject line. Possible real-world tasking. Use inspection data for selection. Her eyes narrowed. This op wasn't going to stay, just training, for long. They started before sunset. Cole pulled his squad into an empty classroom. No jokes, no theatrics. Just a whiteboard, a stack of markers, and a sergeant who finally looked like he respected the silence. All right, he said. Strip it down, no pride. Where did we mess up today? They looked at each other. Normally, this was where he'd deflect. Make fun of someone. Turn failure into a meme. He didn't. Martinez spoke first. I hesitated on the casualty, Sarge. Why? Cole asked. Because you were talking over me, Martinez said. Felt like if I did something wrong, you'd roast me later. The words landed like a punch. Cole nodded slowly. That's on me, he said it out loud. In front of everyone, eyes widened around the room. Next, he said. Keep going. They talked. For once, no one flinched from honesty. They admitted tiny cheats. Little shortcuts. The things they hoped no one saw. Cole wrote everything down. Then he drew the night lane on the board from memory. Here's what's not happening, he said. We're not repeating daylight mistakes in the dark. We're not hoping it'll be good enough. They drilled signals in the hallway. Practiced casualty carries until shoulders burned. They rehearsed comms brevity codes without radios, just hand signs and repetition. Hours slid by. Outside, the base quieted. Inside, their small bubble of effort stayed bright and loud. At one point, Johnson leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Since when do you care this much, Sarge? He asked, half teasing. Half serious, Cole met his eyes. Since someone showed me how much damage I can do if I don't. The squad fell quiet at that. Near midnight, he dismissed them for a few hours of sleep. He stayed. Alone in the classroom, he looked at the map again. The choke points. The likely failure spots. Then he saw something that made his stomach twist. The pattern. Every point where things tended to go wrong lined up perfectly with one habit. His habit rushing, filling silence. Refusing to let other people own their jobs. He sank into a chair and stared at the whiteboard. A soft knock sounded at the door. Come in, he said, expecting the duty NCO. It wasn't the duty NCO. Colonel Elizabeth Carter stepped inside, hands tucked into her pockets. No entourage. No notebook this time. Sergeant Maddox, she said. I thought you'd be here. He stood automatically. Ma'am, We were just finishing training. I saw the hallway drills, she replied. Good start, he hesitated. Is this about the night op, ma'am? About your report? Partly, she said. Mostly it's about that message I got after our meeting. She sat on the edge of the front desk, looking not at him, but at the map. Hire is watching this company, she said. Not just for readiness. For selection. Selection? He repeated. There's a tasking in the works, she said. High-risk advisory mission. They want NCOs who can lead small teams without hand-holding. People who can learn fast, adjust fast, and don't hide behind ego. His heart sped up. You're on the watch list, she added. On both sides of it. He frowned. Both, ma'am? On the list of people we might pick, she said. And the list of people we might block. Depending on what you show me in the next 24 hours. The room felt smaller. So the night op decides that, he said quietly.